Okay, thank you. You heard me.
It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, where there are two sides to every story. Enjoy the broadcast. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. I am so thrilled to be here tonight. We are going to continue our conversation about T. Tunstall. And as you can tell, I have the national chairman from the People's Black Panther, Black Panther Party here with us tonight. So I'm excited to have you guys as my guests. My other ones are coming in. But I want to welcome you guys. Listen, if you are watching the show from YouTube, do me a favor, since you're there, and I know a lot of you are there because that's the link that I posted. If you are watching from YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. I mean, you're already there, right? So I want you guys to be a part of this conversation tonight. If you're watching from Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, wherever you're watching, we really, really do appreciate you for tuning in tonight for this topic, because you could be doing anything else, you could be out shopping, you could be out watching a game or whatever, but you decided to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. Hello, Yakanan, how are you?
Hello. How you doing, Ella? Good to see you again.
It is. It's been way too long, and I'm just so glad that you decided to come in and be a part of this conversation, because I know this is what you guys do. So I want you to do me a favor and just kind of tell everybody who's watching this show who you are and why you got involved in this conversation tonight.
My name is Yakanan Benyah. I am the national chairman of the People's New Black Panther Party. We are a political organization for our people, by the people, and we get out in the community and we just serve the people. We are pretty much community servants. We teach political ideology because we want our people to understand how important politics are, because politics control every aspect of our life. And if we are not in control of our own politics, that means that other people are making decisions and laws for us, and then we are forced to go out and protest and be upset. So we need to be retroactive. An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure any day. And so we help our people. We get on the ground, situations like this with the young man, what's his name again? Ammarin Tunstall.
Ammarin Tunstall.
How do I say it? Say it again for me.
Just call him T. For tonight, let's call him T. T. Tunstall.
All right. Okay.
T.
So situations like this are very, important to us. We want to educate our people, let them know what they need to do in situations like this, and come in support of the family as well, to give them some guidelines on what they should be doing, how to follow things, to see where they are in the investigation, to make sure they're following up, doing things exactly how it should be done, because we have experience in these things, and we tell the family what to do. We'll make phone calls for them and just pretty much guide them through this tough situation. It's one thing to be grieving and trying to take care of business at the same time. So we'll support the family and help them in their time of need to make sure they're doing everything in their power that they can possibly do.
I love it. I think that's good. And we're going to get into all of that, guys. We got a lot of information to share with you because, Yakanan and I, we were talking earlier and we were just like, we have to find those cases that are similar to T and show you that this is how this system works. Now, the title of my show is Taking Down the Blue Wall, but this is about taking down that systemic. This is not physical. So that's why it's not personal. Like when you hear me talking about a police or you hear me talking about something, it's not personal. This is the systemic blue wall. that we're talking about, right? Because I think we get it confused. Now, we're not going to pull any punches tonight. We are going to get straight to the point because a family is grieving. They're still grieving. A mother is waiting and a community is watching. We're all watching to see what comes next. I want to take you back to the questions I posed directly to Mayor Andrews, Chief of Police Armstrong, and Sheriff Boatwright. I know you guys saw it this week. I asked the tough questions. I demanded the facts. And what have we received in return? Silence, deflection, a waiting game. It's a waiting game. That's what we're doing right now. Now, I refuse to let this case be swept under the rug. Okay, I did it. I put those questions out there because far too often the initial narrative put out by law enforcement is the only one that the public hears. They want us to accept their little 3-paragraph press release and move on. But that's not enough. But I asked those questions because when a 35-year-old man goes from visiting his cousin to being dragged down the street and ending up in a body bag, a generic press release is not enough. And you should say the same. I did it because the community has questions about the viral video. It's gone viral. Everyone has seen it. That's why Yakanan is here tonight. We have questions about the use of pepper spray and tasers. We have questions about the gap in time between the arrest and the arrival of medical aid. I put those specific leaders on the spot because they hold the keys to the footage, the police logs, and the truth. If they have nothing to hide, guys, right? They should have nothing to fear from answering it. I did it to force the hands of power to be honest with the people they are sworn to serve. Now, I know that I probably won't ever get that interview with Mayor Andrews or Chief of Police Armstrong or Sheriff Boatwright. I may not ever get that, but at least they know that these are the questions that we have, right? But one thing for sure, if history has taught us anything, from Anton Black, that's one we're going to talk about tonight, to Elijah McClain, that's one we're going to talk about. It is the police that lie. Police do lie. We have seen case after case where the initial press release says one thing, but the truth says another. They want us to believe that the blue wall of silence is this giant, impenetrable fortress. They want us to believe that what they say is the final word. But we have to know better than that, guys. Well, let me tell you something tonight. That blue wall is massive. It is a giant, real talk. But it takes a David spirit to step up to that giant, pull back the sling, and tear it down. And we're going to tear it down without an ounce of fear. Real talk. Tonight's show is dedicated to 2 very important people, T's children, Justice and Cameron. Justice and Cameron, this show is for you. My love, my heart. I love you guys. We're not going to stop. To every citizen listening tonight, I need you to lean in. I'm calling on you to build up the courage to walk by faith, to stay locked in, and to help us cross this finish line. We're not backing down, guys. I mean, we can't. We've come too far. We're not breaking down. We're not going away. We demand absolute transparency and full accountability from every single person involved. Nobody gets a pass in what transpired with Chief Tunstall. It's time for the truth. Now let's get into it. Yes. I know that was long-winded, but I can't help myself. Y'all can I can't help myself. But I do want to show you guys right here. No, that's not. Oh, that's my boy. He's there. Are you there, Texas T? Somebody's calling me, but I'm live, dear. I can't. Okay. So, Texas T, are you with us? It looks like he is muted. Texas T is muted. So when he gets himself together, we'll come back. So listen. So here's the thing. I want to make sure that we remember what this show is all about. Remember what it is that we're trying to do here on the Ella Johnson Show. We're trying to make sure that we never forget. Now, I wanted to show this little video, guys, because I think it's important that we see T in a different light, right? I had one of the children's mothers, she sent me this video because I think that it's important for us to see who he was aside from what you may hear in the media. Okay, so I want y'all, it's a very quick little video.
Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. And I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. So tell me, what do you do?
Yeah, that was just something I saw in the story today. And it brings it more human for us to see T as a father. I think that is so important because the world saw the video of him being dragged. And I don't want that to be the last thing we remember for him. Remember that he's also a father to his beautiful children. So that's why I wanted to dedicate tonight's show to. Are you there, T? Texas T?
I am. How's
You're
everybody
here.
tonight?
Well, wonderful. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, my friend.
I'm blessed to be in the company of great people. And I thank everybody for being here tonight. And I am Houston's brother Emmanuel, known to many others as the Texas T. And I thank y'all for bringing this subject up because it is a very, very sad situation when we can't get the police force who we pay with our tax money to be transparent and let us see what we need to see so that we can make the proper decision. So I'm glad that we have the courage to bring it up. We need to bring it up, as you were saying earlier. So I'm just going to stand back and let y'all continue. You can just bring me in as you need.
All right. Well, you know,
And
you've
peace
always
to my
been
brother Yaka Nun. I'm sorry, the general. My brother General Yaka Nun. His
Peace,
brother is solid.
peace and love, black power to you.
Black power to you, brother. Black power to you. We have done many, many things in the community for the people. And this brother is certified. You know, he has had my 6, I've had his 6. We've had each other's back, not just on the field for the people, but in normal lives, you know, in the regular lives that we all live day to day, working to take care of ourselves and stuff. You know, I've seen this brother operating as a stand-up man in this community. So he's one that he talks and he walks the same thing, identical. So I'm honored to be here with him, and I'm honored to be here with everybody that's in the audience. Let's bring this up and bring the proper accountability to this situation. Proper accountability.
1,000. So if you are just tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, I want you guys to know that tonight's broadcast is dedicated to Justice and Cameron. May your journeys be blessed with love, joy, and adventure. And I just want it to be known that this show and all of what I'm doing by bringing this to my podcast here is for these ones here because they can't speak, they can't fight back, they can't stand up. They are depending on us. So it's very important for you guys to realize that it's this generation. It's not just for us. A lot of us are getting older and we may not get roughed up by the police. You know, we may not be able to go out and that may not happen to us, but it could possibly happen to those children that we just saw there or any of your other family members. So it's important that we realize that we are doing this for the generation, right? So that's why we're pulling all of this stuff together, guys, so we could talk about it. So you and I had an opportunity to talk about some cases. I know that you know about the dragon. Let me just get your initial opinion just about the video when you saw the video. What did you think?
First of all, let me say thank you for having me on the show. And I thought what you just showed, the video of Ammarin in his life, that was very beautiful of you to do. Thank you for doing the job and the work that you are doing. It is very important that we write our own narrative to these stories because we already know that the other side is going to paint a picture of in a very derogatory manner, and paint our brothers and sisters in bad lights, you know, and try to get into the minds of the people, you know, to make it seem like it's okay because they were the scum of the earth. I remember that happening with even Trayvon Martin, you know, being a kid. The first thing the media says, well, he was suspended for, you know, some for some weed, for a little bit of weed he found in his bag, so on and so forth. So thank you as far as that is concerned. That's the right thing to do, and make sure you continue to stay on that track, sister. I appreciate you following your spirit in that manner.
Absolutely.
Getting to the video was very, very disturbing to see a young man who was running, a few minutes ago, being dragged out of the woods. And something you have to understand about, the body itself is the body has, natural reactions that it doesn't ask your permission for. When you touch a hot stove, your hand doesn't ask permission from the brain, can I move? It's automatic. So the body has defense mechanisms against that. So when you are being dragged, you scraping across concrete, sticks in the grass, rocks, gravel, so on and so forth. That is not very comfortable to you. So you're going to try something in your defense to get up, walk, do something to yourself to ease that pressure. And you could tell in the video that he was pretty much out of it. And those officers that were on the scene, I seen 3 of them, they should have been charged immediately with failure to render aid. It shouldn't take you to put a man into the back of a police car and drive to the jail to where he's to be booked in at, and for the jailer to at the intake to have to be the one to say, hey, this stops here. This man needs medical attention. He cannot enter our jail in this capacity. And for the medical emergency to be called out at that time, and then for them to register Narcan, it seems like the narrative is already, beginning to start being painted of what's going to come out. So it's very disturbing to see something like that. And it is going to take for the community to stand up, because if the community does not stand up, then this will be swept up under the rug. Silence will be a deafening ear to us all. And this mother and this family is looking for answers, which they should have already been allowed to see the body cam video already. And by them not being able to see the body cam video, it starts to bring up questions in my mind are the officers being given time to, make up stories, to get their story straight about exactly what happened? And so this video is very disturbing for his children to have to see it, for his family to have to live through something like that, knowing that those were the last moments of his life. These officers, if they did this to a dog, they would have been terminated, and probably prosecuted right there on the spot. If they knew a whale was in trouble, at the beach, they would be down at the beach trying to give the whale mouth to mouth. But because we are hated so much and we don't really want to accept it, and more than likely, these are men and women that get up and go to church on Sundays and claims that they are Christians, but they have a hate for us. So it is an awakening to us. It's not a message for the dead any longer. It has to be a message for the living about what is really going on with our people, because this is going to continue time and time again.
And you said something very profound when you said that this isn't something that we're making up. That's why I wanted to bring real cases. I like to bring real situations to you guys. I'm not just out here talking, saying, well, police can lie. They can put stuff in the paper just to make it look a certain way. I'm not making that up because it came out of, this is historical. Okay. And we're going to talk about some of those. I think let's talk about this guy, Anthony Ware. Let's talk about, because we got a few people that I want to bring up. This was in Tuscaloosa. Anthony Ware was 35 years old, guys. He died in police custody. July 10th, 2015. There was a 911 call. They responded, said a man was sitting on his porch with a firearm. That's what they said. He was sitting on the porch with a firearm. When they got there, the police learned, oh, wow, this dude got a warrant. Okay. He had a warrant. They learned he had a warrant, and the warrant was for attempting to elude police. Okay. Now I want to break it down a little bit in a minute, Yakanan, because I want to talk about how police are supposed to pursue people who have a warrant. Okay. So moving on, he fled in the nearby woods. 6 officers pursued him in heavy vegetation. It means in the thick woods. There was a struggle that ensued. When they caught up with him, they deployed pepper spray and they handcuffed him. All right. And later confirmed he didn't even have a gun. See what I'm saying? He didn't even have a gun, despite that call. Now, when he came out of the woods, they believed he was feigning a medical emergency, that he was exaggerating injuries to avoid an arrest. Okay. Now, once they recognized, wait a minute, he truly is unresponsive, they started CPR on him. They called EMS. They took him to the hospital, but too late. By the time they got there, he was dead. Now, investigation launched. The Tuscaloosa County Homicide Unit took the case. That happened on July 10th when this happened. By July 15th, they had released the body cam footage because the public was mad. They needed to address this concern right away because the public outcry was like, look, we got to give them something. So they did. Now, the body cam footage didn't capture everything. Oh, go, y'all can. The body cam footage didn't see them tase him. Didn't catch that part. But let me tell you what it did catch. It caught when they were giving him CPR. You see? See how this works? How is it you got body cam and we missing pieces? All right? They're missing pieces. They didn't get all of it. And then some of the people didn't have body cams on. So they weren't able to see what really happened out there in those woods with this guy. So what happened next? No officers were placed on leave. You know why? Because they were like, well, there's no reason for us to put them on leave. There's no crime here. There's no offense. There's nothing happened. All right. So nobody was placed on leave. They determined there was no immediate evidence of criminal misconduct. No indictments, nothing went away. What do you think about that one?
Well, typical. Activists over time, people have always thought that Black people were pretty much lying about their, encounters with police. So we asked for dash cams to begin with on the police cars. So then upgraded, that wasn't enough. So then we began to ask for body cams. If we keep on asking for things to have police accountability, the police are going to look like RoboCop here in a minute. They're going to be outfitted with all these things and still not following, the protocol that goes along with it, because you're supposed to keep your camera on, so on and so forth. And then when they violate this protocol, there's nothing to be seen here. Police have the opportunity to go and edit videos, to mute videos, to block things out. They're not being, they don't have any integrity when it comes down to it. And they just want to pull the wool over our eyes, give us a narrative, and we're just supposed to go with whatever they release. It's the video was not made so it can be easily redacted. The police can go take up to 30 days in some cities and states in order to go get their stories together. And it goes right back to, our politics, by us being politically ignorant about these things. These are things that we have to get involved with, and there have to be laws that are on the books that if you break these laws, you go to jail. And the police are still not being held accountable about situations like this.
So the reason I wanted to use this story, guys, because each one of these stories that we're going to tell have a significance to T's story. Now, we're just waiting on this body cam. We already know in Alabama, it is hard as hell to get it. You got to submit in writing. Media, we'll never see it. The family can see it, and whoever is representing the family, because if you're in the video, you get to see it. The mother can get to see it, because we were talking about this earlier, because I want to make sure that we all know what's really going on and what's available to us, because this is the responsibility of what I do. Under Alabama's Act 2023-451, as the mother or immediate representative of a deceased individual, she has a legal right to submit a written request to the custodial law enforcement agency to view the body cam footage. But I want you to pay attention to what's most important here: to submit a written request. Now, how important is this to know? Because they'll still deny it. Y'all cannot, even if you do this, they can still deny it.
Most definitely. We've seen incidents like that to where they'll claim it's under investigation, can't be released to the public, so on and so forth. But if you do push hard enough, if you have enough activists on the ground, if you have enough community support, if you are out protesting, if you are out demanding answers, especially in a political climate to where the sheriffs wants to be elected, you know, in new towns and so on and so forth. These are issues to be brought up for political leverage. You know, your voice is not just totally quiet. You can use situations like this as leverage to ask these public officials, hey, what are you going to do? And it also lets us know that we don't need to continue to vote these same public officials into office only to turn around and complain. They promise us the world, that they're going to give us the world when they get in office, and then they turn around and, you know, put this thin blue wall up that can't be penetrated pretty much. And we end up right back in the same situation like us watching a dog out in the yard chasing their tail that they'll never catch.
Now, I'm glad you said that, because I did have the opportunity to speak with the sheriff in Monroe County. He was told it was okay to call me. He called me. We talked. I will say that. However, I will also state that what I said to him was, it's important to me that you're not just trying to get their vote, because my vote won't help him. I can't do anything for him. I can't put him in office. I can't take him out of office. But the people in Monroeville can. So I made it very plain to him what my intention was, is to make sure that you give something. There has to be something you can do. Like, this is a moment where, okay, you need our vote. Well, we need something from you, sir. We got a young man that is dead now, that died in police custody. I don't care if you, because this is what the deal is being made, Yakanan. The deal is being made where Ella, he refused the guy. He refused him. He didn't bring him into his jail. So he is completely out of it. What am I wrong to expect something out of him, or do you think that there is something shared responsibility that he can do in this as well?
Who was the arresting agency in the situation? Was it the police department, and then they were turning him over to the sheriff? Yeah,
because the jail is under the sheriff's jurisdiction, right? So they took him to the jail, and their officers there, or whomever, the intake, said, well, this man has a medical emergency. We're not bringing him in here. We're not booking him. Y'all need to call EMT, get him some help. And that's kind of where it is. And then it's cloudy what happened after that. I don't know who administered the help. I don't know if the MPD, what did the sheriff do when they went there? Did they just turn him away and did nothing? Did they work on him before EMT came? There was a lot of questions. But,
they said Narcan. And a lot of people don't understand that Narcan is a very, very powerful drug that they use when people have overdoses to try to bring them back and counter the overdose. But if you have not had an overdose, getting Narcan administered to you will become deadly. You understand? And so, see, by this young man running away from law enforcement, is what the initial reports were, is that he was evading arrest. And so when they finally caught up with him to subdue him, one of the witnesses said she heard him screaming that he needs help. Some kind of way he was distressed. And when the camera came on and we saw the video, it showed them bringing him out in a manner that looked as if they were dragging him. And yes, his legs, you could see, were limp, as if he couldn't walk. And you had one person on each side and they were bringing him in. So whatever they viewed, once they got him into their custody, of his behaviors, is what made them administer this. And that's the bigger question. What signs of distress was he showing that made you make a decision to administer something that strong to this young man? And see, that's why a lot of people, and myself, feel that they know exactly what these things will do. And so in a way, it is a way to legally murder us, legally take our lives, and then use the departmental backup of policies and procedures to say, well, we felt like he was under the influence and he had a medical emergency, and we administered everything that our department tells us to do. They overlook the bigger part of the medical community that tell you how you're supposed to handle these things. If you're an officer, you're not an EMT. You shouldn't be administering things to people. You should take them to the hospital where they have trained professionals. By them disregarding that, that leads everyone to look at their actions as actions that purposely knew what they were doing would cause the death of this young man. I'm not giving any leeway with a person that I pay to do a job. I pay you to learn these rules, these regulations, and these policies. And that's the thing that gets us, is because everybody doesn't have a universal policy and procedure for the law enforcement that handle universal citizens and universal situations. Our traffic stops become deadly. Our civil violations of the law that are supposed to be and that have been designed in the legislation as civil offenses are handled as criminal, and we all lose our lives over it. What did they stop the young man for? What made the young man feel like he needed to evade them? Because there's also statutes and laws that say if you feel as a citizen in danger of your life being taken, then there are things that you can do as a citizen. Why is it that we're not able to practice those things without this being the outcome? They knew that their policies to get that check told them when they bring a prisoner in under the influence of drugs, when you get them in your custody, physically, wherever, you as an officer are supposed to look at that person and find out if they have anything that could be incoherent, because it comes down to the case later on being thrown out or kept. And so you, the one we pay, you're supposed to know that if you see anything medical to this prisoner, this person, you're supposed to take them immediately to the hospital. Do not take them or bring them into a substation. Now, these are policies that are in these departments when handling a medical emergency, because they have to fall under the federal guidelines. So this tells me they disregarded that. And this has not been the first case. It's many other cases. We can bring them up later. But covering this one, they showed a purposeful disregard. And to administer something, and then you don't tell the family anything. You give them the smallest explanation. I'm tired of these private police departments that are getting publicly paid. How are they private police departments getting publicly paid by us? When we come to them, we pay their bill when that check comes. But then when we come to them to tell us, what did you do to us as the citizens, you don't want to show us. It takes 50 years for us to get the smallest thing. The body cam is turned in that day. The computer system today, you can pull it up in 5 seconds. Why does it take all that time? Why? Because they are private police departments, and we have to come in as a citizen to pay them, and we got to get a judge to sign a piece of paper just to get them to start the process of giving us the damn tape. That is so sad, but they know these things will happen, but we will have lost our lives, and then the rest of us will be here, while the person that they wanted, the citizen in question, has lost their life. There is no fixing of this situation. Somebody messed up and knew better and brought this man into a place where he could not get the proper medical help for whatever said situation you said he was in. People need to know this. When a person does not go to court, when a judge has not seen a person and found them guilty, I don't care what it is. And they said, y'all saw it on the cop shows, a person is innocent until proven guilty. If you have not been found guilty, then guess what they're doing? They are killing innocent citizens. Technically innocent citizens. But they criminalize us so that nobody can care about our death, and the officer can walk away with a technical, I followed my policies and procedures of this department, and now now I'm free of the charge of taking this citizen's life.
So Texas T, one thing that you did say about the Narcan, because from my understanding, and you helped me with this, Yakanan, aren't officers trained to administer Narcan?
Most officers are trained to administer Narcan. The problem you have in this situation is, how did they obtain the information in order to administer Narcan, because we saw them in a limp state. I saw one report that said the EMTs had administered the Narcan once they came. So everything right now is in a dispute. So when you even ask, what is the sheriff's accountability? We won't know what the sheriff's accountability is in this all until we see, body cam footage from the intake officer at the sheriff's department. What was their reaction? Did they try to administer aid? If they wouldn't take them, did they know it was something wrong immediately and they didn't even begin to do CPR? They said to go get a medical attention. So I think we'll get a little bit more answers, as these videotapes and we can see this footage begin to come out. But those three initial arresting officers that were on the scene, and any officers that was on the scene, if there was a supervisor on the scene, so on and so forth, all those officers should be held accountable immediately.
And see, that's the job of officers, is to, as soon as a situation happens, respond to it, control the situation. You control the situation by letting the people know, the people that the situation is involved, letting them know what is exactly happening. That is our problem. We don't get that from officers. Immediately at the scene, a little while after it, they completely shut us as citizens out. And so what that does is that allows the citizens to make the assumptions. And y'all know what they told us assumptions do. And it's true, because we're viewing a view of an angle, but we're not getting the whole of the situation. When they control the narrative of giving us the whole of the situation, so people are not out here with pitchforks and ready to burn down the town, thinking something that has been taking place in the past of rough treatment of us has happened here, because the video clearly shows that. So if they're controlling, or they're allowing, they see that the media has portrayed a picture, an image of them in a manner that looks like that old brutality that we all are against, why would not the sheriff or whoever is in control immediately come out there, talk to the people, let them know this is what happened, this is what happened. I know it looks bad, but this is not what is happening. If you're not doing that, either you're hiding it to protect, as Yakanan said, to get it ready, edited and all that, however you want to give it to us, or you just don't care that that is your job and you're supposed to do it. I see many officers at the scene. The reporters are out there. As soon as the reporters ask them, the officers are transparent. That's what you're supposed to do, or give them enough so that the people are not raised up. But the people will raise up and roar if you don't tell them anything. And that's what happens a lot.
But Texas T and Yakanan in Monroeville, there is this is what the narrative is. We cannot discuss anything. We can't comment on anything because it is still an active investigation with the state of Alabama. So
that's the policy bull words to make us not able to know what they're doing. Those are words we can't discuss. Why not? How am I paying you and you can't discuss? It's always that. With every police investigation, they use that excuse. We can't discuss it. It's an open investigation. It's an open investigation. It's still going on right now. Man, miss me with that. That's their way, their bull jargon to keep citizens under their control and them not being able to be held accountable immediately.
So what do you think about that, Yakanan? The fact that, because I'm sure the mayor is like, look, this is buying him some time because he's not going to speak on it as long as it's active. He's not going to say anything about that video. No one's really said anything about that video. It's like they're just sitting there. We're sitting here. Nobody is moving. What do you think about the fact that they're saying we can't say anything right now?
Well, this has become the status quo. They've practiced it. It has become, their law is kind of like when you call somebody a racist, they say, I have black friends. It's a universal answer that police departments have, become have come up with now to answer the community's questions. When they're running for office, they tell us they're going to be transparent, so on and so forth. Then all of a sudden it's always up under investigation. So this is status quo. This is what we, have come to expect. And, when you come to expect these things, the proper pressure, and I said proper pressure, has to be applied. You have to know where to hit them at, how to attack them, and you have to be strong in your community. If you are weak and you're allowing these things to go on and you don't demand answers and you cower down, it's going to become a normal thing, and you'll begin to get these answers over and over again. Every time something happens in the community, it's going to be a cleanup process that go along. Once they get it cleaned up and edited real good, they'll give you their version up. The community eats it up, and they go on about their business until it happens again. And this town, you know, is known for this. This is something that's rooted in the community. They have a history in this town of this. I have to even go back to Monroeville, Alabama, now and start, you know, looking at things like you told me earlier about just mercy. You know, there are stories that have happened. So this is something that's been going on, you know, in this town for a very long time. And it's up to the citizens in order to make a change. If they want to make a change in their community, they have to be able to stand up for themselves, quit cowering down. You can't be afraid. You have to make sacrifices, even if you have to take time off of work. You know, this family needs your support. And if you are not one to support and be the one to make change, then at some point in time, this terrible news could come knocking at your door, and you'll wonder, where's everybody at the time?
So I'm
sorry.
One of the things that I want, no, go ahead, Texas T.
I just wanted to add on to him, like my brother said, properly prepared. That goes also covering the window of educating our brothers and sisters on how to handle yourself during these traffic stops. Because for us, it's deadly leaving our house just to go to the gas station. It's a deadly encounter. Why? Because so many of us, when we pulled over, we hear or we've been taught, you know, just do what the officer says. Don't present yourself as any threat to them. But when we do that, we have to deal with Claude and Ray from the movie Life. Some white sheriff, if you didn't do nothing, you got nothing to worry about. Life. That's a reality for us. That's a reality of coming into contact with those people. We think that even when we act right, we have a fear that they're not going to act right. And a lot of times it does not happen. So I want to go back and find out what was the initial stopover. And even if this young man was dirty or not, what caused him to run? And when we go into that, I want to go into that because it's something that we need to be educated on. A lot of times you see these social media videos and you see these confrontations during a traffic stop. We got to let our brothers and sisters know, hey, man, the traffic scene right there with that officer, that is not the time to tell about your rights, the rules being followed, all that. I know that we get taught that and we see these videos showing people doing that and making the law walk off. But I promise you, you're not going to handle your case at that moment, even if they are in the wrong. The only thing you need to be worried about or be taught as a young black male or female is survival. Get to that courthouse and then fight in the courtroom. At the scene, you can't even do it. But a lot of times our brothers and sisters do not want to because they have a cultural anxiety with a police force that we have been taught was designed against us, and we are seeing still is designed against us. That makes people have an apprehensive spirit when dealing with them. And I believe this young man had that. That's what's so sad about this situation. We're not getting taught that. We're not getting the police officers taught the type of training to know that you are a threat to people. You know how people see you, so you need to accost them in a different manner. Even if we did see it, them doing it is not something I believe would be the enforced thing in every department. So I have to go after my people, and we have to educate each other on how to handle these situations to not put ourselves in the woods, not taking away from this little brother's life because he is so amazing and love to his family. But what happened in those woods, it took him away from the view and the scope of protection of the people. You know what I'm saying? And for whatever that reason is what I feel is what we need to talk about too.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me piggyback on that as well too, because we are in the process of educating our people. This is very important, you know, because we are traumatized from our relationships we have dealt with the police, and we run because of this trauma and our fear. Do not run from the police under any circumstances at all. If you are ever under arrest and you are told you are under arrest, you can beat the rap, but you cannot beat the ride. You have to go deal with it in the proper manner under the current system that we are under. And one of the very last things that you want to do with these police officers is isolate yourself where no one else can see you. Always make sure you stay in the view of the other people in the community or other people in the public. Never put yourself in a wooded situation, like this, because you may go in running, but you can come out limp, and we are forced to start wondering about what happened, versus if we just had eyes on you to be able to see or even be able to intervene. Put down the video cameras and intervene when officers are 100% out of line, before they murder one of us. It's not something that I could sit back and see, but we are so much in fear that we'll even sit back and record an incident and not even intervene when officers are murdering our loved ones.
Yeah. But I'm glad, because that's a good teaching moment right there. But to answer you guys' question, allegedly there was a warrant for his arrest. I'm still trying to find that warrant. Honestly, I've been trying to search, because I was talking to you earlier, like, how can we find what this warrant was? But there was a warrant for his arrest. The police saw him and he just took off running. He just started running. Obviously, he didn't want to be arrested, so he started running. I mean, it's not against the law to run from the police. And in fact, there's a protocol for police when someone warrants. Because I wanted to know, I said, now there's a difference in running from the police. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. You can run from the police because you've committed some kind of violent act. And now they're running because they like, look, we got to stop this criminal. We was seen in the act, so we got to get him. Versus someone with a warrant. It has totally different protocol for police. Now let's talk about protocol in T's situation. What should they have done knowing, okay, this young man has a warrant, we want him? Number one, I want to make it very clear that officers do have the explicit legal authority to arrest someone who is who there's a warrant for their arrest. They have the authority to do that. They have the authority to go after you and whatever. However, officers do not have unlimited power to just do whatever they want. They're still governed by the Fourth Amendment. Okay? They're still governed by the Fourth Amendment. That's why we have these laws and rules and stuff. And police, for some reason, they get in their feelings and they forget all of this. So people want to say, well, he shouldn't have run. He shouldn't have run. I know that's the easiest thing to say and just chop it up right there. But no, police have a responsibility and they're trained to know what to do when someone has a warrant and you see them. Okay. It ensures the safety of the officer. The reason you got to have rules, guys, it ensures the safety of the officer, the subject, and the public. Everybody is kept safe, because what happens, you pursue him and now it's infringing upon someone else's rights. And now they're hurt because you were chasing after this guy. He ran in the woods. Okay. This is what we got here. Now, this is what I've also gathered in my research. Even if a suspect is wanted on a warrant and is actively fleeing, the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling in Tennessee versus Garner, I want y'all to type that, Tennessee versus Garner. Look it up. In that particular ruling, it strictly limits when police can use force. Now, in this case, we don't know if he was tased, right? Yakana, we don't know if he was tased. We don't know if he was pepper sprayed. These are rumors because we don't know. We don't have body cam footage. Yeah, I'd be glad to get that body cam footage so then I could talk about stuff that did happen. But right now, we're just talking about what we believe or what has been alleged. So let me just talk about deadly force for fleeing. Officers cannot use deadly force simply because the person is running away from a warrant. Let me say that again, because they acted like this man had committed a crime and they caught him in the act and they just got to get him. What's wrong, Yakana and brother in Texas T, with them just saying, man, he's too fast. We'll get him another day. The warrant is still in the system. We'll get him. Why couldn't they do that?
It would be easy for them to do it, but there's a hatred and a driving force behind someone putting themselves in a bad situation and not realizing it. There was a situation that was just here in Houston with a Houston Police Department officer to where she spoke about racism, and she spoke about how she hated Black people and called them apes, monkeys, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
She said that out of her mouth. Our major concern is not the people who say it out of their mouth, but the people who are able to remain silent and carry out their hatred in situations like this. Because if they see us in a vulnerable position, even though it may be legal to carry a weapon, but if you carry a weapon on you, even though it may be legal, a racist police officer who hates your guts will take that opportunity to shoot you and say that you were armed. And so this is the mentality that we must realize on what we are dealing with. When we are dealing with these police officers, we don't know their true hearts and their true minds and what they have been through in their lives and what kind of households, they were raised in, but they acted out on the streets every single day. When you look at those police officers in that video dragging somebody, you know that they had hatred in their heart. There was no love in their heart. They wouldn't have treated their mother like that, their daughter like that, their wives or their husbands like that in that manner. But because this was a Black man running from them, they were able to spew their hatred out. And so they don't have to tell me who they are. I can see with their actions exactly who they are.
Exactly.
I don't think that's protocol, right, Texas T, to drag
It's
this man
not.
that way?
See, that's the thing. What we were saying earlier, not following policies and procedures, even of those departments. Yeah, there are federal rules that tell the things that you're supposed to do as an officer or not supposed to do, but then they also have state. And see, when the clash comes with the state and the federal, it's about what is going to be followed in the situation. So the officer is going to go by the state departmental policy. And even when it tells them, as you just said, for them not to chase us, they're going to chase us. They're going to bypass that in the moment, and they're going to explain it later, because it's like the old school game of cops and robbers. When you played the cop, you just was vigilant about chasing that person down. You would go everywhere through the doghouse, cross the gate. I mean, just flip and flap. And when people saw that, that entertained them, and that made them believe that's the job of a cop. Then you start seeing the show Cops. What did you see on Cops? They were always showing chase scenes. So what did that do? That told the new cops that are coming in, we're chasing them down. And what does it do to a human being when you don't follow their authority? When you don't stop, freeze, don't run? It pisses them off, and they are taking it personal. So they're going to run you down. I'm not letting you get away. Oh no, you're not going to get away from me. So they're going to go with whatever it takes to get to you. And when they get to you, they're going to administer their personal anger, just like anybody that you had to chase down. You had to, man, I was trying to call you. You're going to be mad. And when a person that has authority has a gun, that makes a deadly combination. And that's why we tell our brothers and sisters, no, you cannot run. Even though the law says that there is a time, like we were saying earlier, there is a time and there's a situation. That situation is if you run, you flee, like that OJ stuff. If you flee and you get away, then when you come to court, you can show proof that your life was in danger and that was the reason you did that, then that can pan out like that. That does not apply to us as our babies and the people that our community encompasses. It doesn't. They do not do that when we're on the scene with them. They're gonna chase us, and they're gonna find us in a place where nobody is at. They're going to do whatever to us. And that's why we got to teach our brothers and sisters, stay in front of that camera. Don't get yourself trying to get away because you don't like what they're doing. Remain strong. It's scary, but you have to remain strong, because if you go behind that building, you let them make you a target. And what the body cam gonna do for us? I bet you when we see it, it's gonna look like it looks on Cops. It look like it's all over everywhere. The angle that shows really what's going on, it's always obstructed. Why? Because when that person is running, their body is moving. So the body camera is no good if it's gonna miss certain things, and then you knowing that body camera move, you know the blind spots and the things that you can do and get away with. So it makes it dangerous. That's why we tell our brothers and sisters not on the scene. Don't fight with them and do not run, because back in the day, this is what the Panthers was made over, and what liberation came over is people had their hands up. They were finding the autopsies of our brothers and sisters with bullet wounds under their armpits, meaning they were complying. They had their hands up and they were still being shot down, meaning they already want to kill you. So if you're gonna die, at least let us know. Let us see it. Don't go behind the building, because they're gonna do it and then he's gonna get away with it. At least let it be seen so that the public can handle it and handle it properly. And I know that's something scary, but that's the reality
Yeah.
we face. And we
Yeah.
got to
No,
teach
that's
that to our brothers and sisters. You got to make it home at night. Survival is the most important thing in the black community. When you leave your home, when you leave each other, you can be pulled over by this authority. And when that authority is that authority is human. If you talk smart to them, they're going to get mad like a human. They're going to abuse their authority to get you under control. They ain't going to do it to other folks, certain other, complexions. But when it comes to us, and a lot of people don't like hearing this, but this is the reality that is going to save us as a people, because we're encountering this situation too many times. And what do we got now? A bunch of opinions, because we don't have facts, because the people that hold the facts, they can take our life quick, but they can't come and be accountable for it as quick as they took it.
Now, did you want to add to that, Yakanan?
Yeah,
You look
let
like
me
you want
add
to
to
say
that.
something.
This is old school. This goes back to power, control, asserting their authority over us. These are scare tactics. This is tar and feather. Somebody in front of the community, have everybody come out and watch, put two horses together, hit them at both ends and tear them apart in front of everybody. They put these images in our face. They want us to see these things to traumatize us. We'll look at Sandra Bland. Because she was given a ticket and smoking a cigarette, the officer was upset because she didn't want to put her cigarette out in her car, which she had every right to smoke a cigarette, which did not go against department policies, but because she was disrespecting, this white man, he couldn't handle that. And this sister ended up dead. And that's what it goes to at the end of the day. This is about power. This is about control. This is about keeping that fear instilled in us as a community to keep us exactly where we are right now to this day without any power at all.
Now, one of the things too that I learned about this chasing is that what they could have done with T, they could have, because let's say he was out there in the woods and you guys don't see him, you've lost track of him. They could have just said, okay, look, let's rope off this area. Let's surround this area. He's got to come out at some point. Or you can send the dogs in there if you really just wanted to chase him. But it's very important to know what was the warrant for, because that matters too. Based on law and procedure and police policy and procedure, what the warrant is for matters. So was it a felony warrant? Was it a misdemeanor? Do you think this man's life, he deserved to die over let's just say it was child support. Let's just say it was some kind of warrant because he missed court. He died over that kind of warrant. That's the kind of warrant that you say, I'll get him later. I'll catch him later. It's not that serious, right? So why do you think they make stipulations on the type of warrant that it is, Yakanan? Why do you think they do that?
Well, most departments over time have come up with their own policies about what a chase is going to involve, what is the level, of the warrant or the level of the crime in order to give chase. I don't know these departments' policies on why, if they should have even given chase or not, because it begins to endanger other public, members of the public. If you don't chase somebody down over a child support warrant, get them, and involve other people, if you know where the person works at, you have options. You have a taser not to use deadly force. You have a gun if your life is in danger and you need to use deadly force. As you said, we are in the age of technological advance. You have drones out here now. You can easily rope the area off, call other units in, set up a perimeter,
Yes.
and use
Yes.
the least of your options at all. But in this case, they gave way to their hate and their true feelings, and they decided to go in, guns blazing, and only they know what happened in those woods right now.
Yeah, because I do know, just like what Texas he said, when officers have to chase you, now they're pissed. So you're gonna pay when they catch up to you. I do believe that. But this is let's talk a little bit more about T. Then I want to talk about Anton, because his case is very significant to this story today. When they went in those woods, this is what the rumor is, that when they brought him out, while he was in the woods, like Texas he said, he was yelling for help. Help, help, help. When they brought him out, he was talking. He actually said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I need some water. These are what eyewitnesses said they heard him say. Now, the chief of police said he was arrested without incident. What does that mean, Yakana? When a chief of police says he was arrested without incident, he was alert, talking to the officers, and we didn't pay attention to him dragging his feet, because he's always done this. When you hear a chief of police talk like that, now let's take it back to the stuff you've seen, that you've heard. What do you think about that?
When I hear police chiefs say that someone has been arrested without incident, this is without them running, with them just being totally giving themselves up without any kind of fight, without any kind of resistance at all whatsoever. But this could not have been the case at all with them saying that it went without incident, because clearly something went on in those woods. There was some type of incident. If a young man is able to run and then he's begging for water and he's in distress, I don't think this just happened on his own. So the police chief seems to be covering up for the officers already. He may be going by the officers' reports. Maybe he spoke without either viewing the body cams, or maybe he's just a flat out lie. But there's something that is a missed here. Something doesn't smell right. It doesn't pass the smell test at all.
There we go. That's exactly.
It's a play of words.
Yeah.
It's a play of words. Incident. It's like Cat Williams said many years ago in a funny little joke. Words that we readily identify with and do not identify with, we are confused over it. So you always hear the verbiage of police when they come and speak. They make their words sound very smart. Because many people, when you hear the word incident, just a regular citizen, you think something bad. It sounds bad. An incident in school. You always think something bad. So when the cop come out and use that word and say, well, they were arrested without incident, the natural, normal citizen is going to think, oh, they was arrested and everything is all right. You feel what I'm saying? But that officer knows their verbiage. It throws people off, because that's not words we readily identify with. That's not words we readily use in our day-to-day speech. Hey, man, what happened today on work? What type of incidents with that? Hey, how was school? What happened in the incidences at school? We don't talk like that as citizens. So when they talk to us like that, I know then you're manipulating. I know, and a lot of us know from the jump, just them words they expressing us as a report, incident. Oh, no. See, there you go with that insurgent shit. You are throwing us off. Something done happened. And when you tell us no incident, well, why aren't you giving us the body camera that fast? Huh? See, that's when we have to know it. But the biggest and most important thing I'm about is the life. Our little brother is gone. His mother, his father, his family, this community, everything that he could have brought to us, everything that we could have given to him, the interactions, they took them from us. They took them from us. And if they're sitting in our face telling us this young man was talking and he was coherent and all that, well, what did he need Narcan for? If they administered him, we saying if, because they're not telling us everything. So here we're just putting our opinions out there of the possibilities, if this happened, how this happened. I mean, we're not solid all the way, but if Narcan was administered, that's administered for overdoses, and overdoses is a person not coherent. So if this man is talking, he's saying all of this, what ailment did you see that he needed medical attention? What ailment did he have?
Yes.
See? It's just crazy. They're purposely covering up their crimes.
Yeah. I just caught that, what you were saying, Texas, because she said in her own statement, he was alert. But then you, just like you said, but you gave him Narcan. So what is it that made them believe he needed Narcan? Did you see him ingest drugs? Do you know that he has a drug history and you thought this would stick? Like what is it? What is it? Because then I hear rumors, guys. We're gonna just, I mean, this is a rumor, it's alleged. We don't know it to be true. But I also hear that when he made it to the jail, he was already dead. Can we believe that's true based on what we've seen in that video? Yakanan?
I can believe it. I thought he was on his very, very last leg, when I seen his head droop down. At that point in time, it didn't look like he had any control over anything that was going on. And the officers had to put a little extra something into it and give it a little something because his weight looked like it just became more dead the further they walked. It looked like he may have had a footing or something at some point in time. I don't know if they dragged him the entire time, but I don't think that young man made it to the jail while he was still alive at all.
I think it was some George Floyd. I think it was some George Floyd type stuff. Because like Yakanan said, the limpness of his head, the limpness of his body, I could put one and one together or two and two together and come up with an answer. I just need to see it. And we already know that you put him in chains. So that means you caught up with him, you subdued him some kind of way. And from what we're seeing, if a person that was running can't even walk after you've come into an encounter with him, you've disabled them some kind of way. I believe, just myself, my opinion, take it up with me, anybody that you want, come bring it to me. I believe they choked the man to death, trying to put the chains on him, or they held him down George Floyd style, knee on his back, and they stopped his breathing. And so when they were bringing him out, of course, his body was limp, because those are the only things that can make your body limp. Either they broke his neck, and now his neck can't be held straight, or they busted his spine when they knee in the back, the common tactic that they use, and now the man's paralyzed, couldn't walk. But something happened for a perfectly healthy man to be running and then not able to run. But then we have to factor in those accounts that they said he was talking. If that sister said he was screaming out for help, then, I can say that, no, it couldn't have been a broke neck, because most broke necks would, it would make you completely, it would knock you out, the initial. And so he couldn't be able to talk. But if they, made him paralyzed and they had to drag him and carry him, then, paralyzation, that would also, knock you out to where you wouldn't even be able to speak. So whatever was done, that encounter to get him in those chains that led to him being taken to the car, it was something that they administered to him, and they don't want to tell us, and they hid it with the Narcan shot. Because in this autopsy, it's going to show a lot of stuff. It's going to spell it out. And then we also got to just be real about it. The actual people who are going to administer the autopsy are a part of the people who we feel are covering it up. So if a man don't treat you right, you think he's going to teach you right? You think they're going to tell us the real findings? This family is going to have to get a private autopsy, I bet you, to find out what exactly happened to this baby. And I bet you when it come out, just a bet, it's the administering of that Narcan. They probably tried to beat him up. That didn't break him down. He was still kicking it. And they hate our strength when they cannot subdue us. And so they administered that, knowing it would cause a reaction that would take this man's life, because that is true. If you are not under the influence of drugs, you can't take Narcan. That ain't something you can get high. It will take your life. And this boy was healthy. A healthy man with Narcan, becomes a man that's no longer here with us.
So let me ask you, Texas T. Let's just say, let me play devil's advocate for those people that are watching this. Now, we know this boy was on drugs. He probably took drugs. What if he took drugs and he was running from the cops? Will just taking drugs alone, could that have caused his death as well?
No, because the amount of time, if he took drugs, the amount of time for the drugs to kick in, it couldn't have happened in that little time to make some kind of effects to where they saw that, he's incoherent, and his life is leaving. And administering Narcan is a sympathetic, a merciful thing. That means a good person is trying to really save your life when it's done right. So that means they have had to see that his life was in danger. There's no way that drugs ingested at that moment could cause a reaction to where Narcan is needed. No, and then they would have to know what type of drug it is, because Narcan is used for powerful drug overdoses, not simple small drug overdoses. It's very, very important. Even if he ingested or was under the influence when they stopped him for the initial, whatever it was, like Yakanan and the people were saying, him running, whatever the actual warrant was for, should have been the discretion of the officers, whether we need to waste our energy, waste the resources of the public, put the public in danger by chasing them, when we're in a day in technology, a day of technology, where we can just go search him out. We can know where he's at without even chasing him. So what do we want to do as the officer that's here paid to preserve these citizens' lives, protect these citizens' lives? When it comes to us, y'all saw what they do. They chase us down. They don't let it go. They don't follow the federal law then. And then they know that the policies and procedures of their departments of the state is going to protect them.
So let me tell you guys what part of the rumors are out there too, Yakanan and Texas T, that he was dry tased. There's rumor in the streets that they didn't just tase him, they put it on his skin and tased him and pepper sprayed him. This is what the word on the street is. Now let's add that combination allegedly into the scheme of things. What could that do?
Well, that can overstimulate the heart. If you're already on drugs and already have your heart racing, you add the extra stimulant of being tased, along with being dry tased as well. That could put your heart in a situation where it's just too much for the heart to handle. Not only that, are you dealing with being tased over and over again, but now you're dealing with adrenaline being added to the situation as well. And so the heart can only take so much. And if these officers know this, they've seen this happen over and over again. We've seen other cases where someone has been tased to death, by being overstimulated. And so they may not be using a rope, on a tree. The MO has changed over times, and these officers have began to get very creative in learning how to kill and get away with it.
So let me tell you guys too, this is another alleged act. And I think I got this from the news article that was done, where an eyewitness said that when they looked in the car, he was face down. Now, I want everybody to know how deadly that is if he, in fact, was administered, if he was tased or if he was pepper sprayed. What does that do, Yakanan, if that is true, that they laid him face down in the back of that police car?
It's going to obstruct your breathing. If he's already coming out asking for water, saying he can't breathe, and you land him face down, you already know that you're giving him a death warrant. He was put in a death position at that point, if that is a true, because right now it's being alleged. We'll find out as things, continue to come out, so on and so forth. So because we don't have this body cam footage, it hasn't been transparent. We have to go off of, some eyewitness testimony, some hearsay, so on and so forth. So we just have to sit back and wait, to see. And I know that's not proper protocol to face somebody who's having trouble breathing face down in a police car, constricting their breathing. And I need to add something as well. I think this family is making a terrible mistake right now. And the terrible mistake, and I hope they're listening to this, the terrible mistake that I think they're making. I don't know if this is true or if this is not true, but if your attorney is advising you to go along with the state's autopsy, it can be one of the worst decisions, and it can exacerbate this already problem. It is always best to get an independent autopsy from someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight. And we have examples of this where we can show you that this has taken place before. So if it is true to where the attorney is leading the family in that direction, the family needs to stop and make a U-turn right now to make sure they get an independent autopsy done.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly whether or not a separate autopsy was done, but I know that that's something that did come up, Yakanan, in the beginning, that that was the first thing everybody said, get that independent autopsy before they bury him. And the reason it's so important is because we're going to talk about Anton Black. Anton Black is a 19-year-old young man over in Greensboro, Maryland. This is a very important case, guys, because remember when I went live before the show and I said that sometimes police do lie? It happens, okay? So we can't put all our trust in them. That's why that's one thing we got to be careful of. All right, let me tell you what happened here. He was experiencing a mental crisis. He was confronted by the police. Then he ran to his house, got into the family car. I mean, he's running, so he was close to home, so he jumped in the car. That didn't matter to the police. They smashed the car windows, tased him, pulled him out. There were 3 officers and a civilian bystander, and they pinned him down. His face was down on the family porch. He's calling for his mom, because he was at home. She comes out. She couldn't do anything. These officers are absolutely got him pinned down. He told his mother that he loved her while he was being pinned down. All right.
George Floyd.
He lost his consciousness, turned blue. 19 years old. I want y'all to look him up right now. Anton Black. That's a big case out of Maryland. Let's keep talking about it. Family filed.
And they held him for 6 minutes. Tell them how long they held him down there. That was the key. It was 6. From the reports for that case is that they held that young baby down for 6 minutes in that position. And so the initial autopsy, said that, it was cardiac arrest. But when the family did what Yakanan said, and they got a private autopsy, that autopsy changed the initial ruling to a homicide, and they called it positional asphyxiation. The same thing as George Floyd. Y'all know staying on somebody's back when they're down, face down. He was face down position, just like this young man. Face down already constricts air. So when you apply your weight and pressure on the back, you know that you are stopping their normal breathing patterns. And for a 6-minute window, the world knew that you can't be on nobody that long. We just had George Floyd. We talking about the timing of being on somebody like that. So these officers, y'all from another planet, y'all don't know that? They knew that. And they held that baby down. And then again, the autopsy from the people said, no problem, cardiac arrest. But when you got it to someone else that's not connected with that system, they showed the truth, and it was positional asphyxiation. But what do they do to the officer? They're going to review him and then say, well, he followed proper protocol because he kept resisting. How did we know he kept resisting? Yep. The brother's life is gone. The brother's life is gone, and the person that was paid to protect him was the person that took it. It should be with the officers. It should be with the police department. And this is the thing that gets me. Y'all can see us crying on TV. The news, they come out there, and the family, they'll have all the members of the community, church clergy. You'll have all the people in the hood, T-shirts everywhere, and they standing behind no justice, no peace, screaming. And it be shown that this was a violation because this person is gone. As we said earlier, when a person hasn't gone before the judge, that means they are innocent because they have not been proven guilty in a court of law. So that means technically, even if it was a sad situation, you have technically, as a police officer, killed an innocent citizen. So why does the police department never show sympathy and be out there with the family? Why do you never see the police there with the grieving family? Because we're sorry. because this person is technically innocent. This is not a criminal. Why do the police still criminalize them like, well, we had to protect our lives from this criminal? No, when it is a criminal, when a criminal has escaped, has already been found guilty, you are a criminal then. When you are in custody and you escape, then apprehending you, then the officer's life can be in danger because that is a criminal. And then they can then tell the public, yeah, this officer was doing a great job protecting y'all from a criminal. But when we have not been found to be a criminal, we are innocent citizens. You are killing innocent citizens and showing no sympathy, no coming to the funeral. The police department don't, send no flowers and say, we apologize. Why? Because they do not value us. And if they were to do that, they know that would pass along in all these police departments of showing empathy and sympathy to the citizens. And it would be too much like right, and they would have to take the target off of us. And they don't want to do that. So you're never gonna see it. But that shows directly they are protecting that thin blue line. They're keeping it there. They're on that side, we're on the other side when we're the ones paying. And then all we're gonna get is a protest. And then our babies, the person who's in question, what do they get? ICE. That's your justice. Break it down, just ICE. The person is out of there. We have to preserve our lives. We have to teach survival. We have to change our tactics and our methods in dealing with these people and coming into contact with them. And we have to live in a real world where we let everybody know you are in danger. Yes, this is not no rumors, no conscious conspiracy that all the cops are after you. No, it's true. When they come in contact with you, they're thinking about every movie in life. They're thinking about all this stuff. And of course, they're going to come out and tell us, oh, man, he's lying. No, we don't do that. Every cop isn't bad like that. But that's BS. They are all trained in that same room. What do you got to do today? You have a protocol. You have a certain amount that you have to bring in, and how they describe how they're supposed to be for you to walk up on them. Well, every suspicious suspect fits the damn the description of us as black people. One of us and one of our styles, from our youth to our adults, it fit our style. So damn, every time they come out, they can always say you fit the description of a suspect. You got a warrant, and we got to bring you in. Like you were saying, hey, if that's a traffic warrant or if that's a civil warrant, I shouldn't have to go into a criminal environment. I shouldn't have to be taken into custody like a criminal. But see, they are treating warrants. They're treating warrants as a do or die, like the old school wanted posters, dead or alive. You can bring them in, dead or alive anyway, and we got to chase them down. I don't care. I got to uphold the law. You had a warrant.
So I want to make sure
to kill us.
Right. I want to make sure that we get what we're trying to prove in this case, Yakanan, because we were definitely looking at this and because of the reason, because I want y'all to know how this turned out. This is what's most important as well. I want you to see how they treated him, but I want you to see how the family responded based on the information they had. Now, they took the opportunity to get that independent autopsy, and it saved the case for them. Because what happened is, this is how they ended up winning, because they did win big on this one. They were able to prove, this is how they won. They were able to prove that positional asphyxia. Now, they couldn't do it based on what the state had given them, right, Yakana? Because it said it was a cardiac arrest.
Right.
They were able to prove, because a medical expert, right, that they retained, these people, this family, they retained a medical expert that presented evidence that pinning an individual face down, especially while handcuffed, restricts the chest wall and causes positional asphyxia. They were able to prove it with their own video, right?
Right.
With their own video, they were able to prove that. I'm going to tell you another way, because what happened, the police downplayed it. They said it was a heart condition, like what we just talked about. The police downplayed the video footage. Okay. They showed the moment he went limp and how long it took for the officers to respond. Pay attention. Pay very, very, very close attention. They recorded from the body cam how long it took. Remember on the other show that I was saying that how do we know that the delay in what they did? That's why this timestamp is so important, because I think that this and I was showing this with you earlier, Yakana. This right here, this is going to be something that they're going to probably look at. What time did that call go in versus what time, all the other stuff, the timestamp from the video that they took versus this. How long did it take Monroeville Police Department to make this call, administer that Narcan, whatever it is that they did? How long did it take them to do it? Because it could have cost T his life. Timing is everything.
Exactly.
So if he was dead when he went into that jail, like some say, then this is a lie, because it says that he had a faint pulse, come to the detention center. So are you making this call because you just need it on the record and he was already dead? Or did you wait? You purposely waited to get to the jail to make the call. So many unanswered questions.
Exactly. And that is the thing. That's why it's called homicide, is because when they label it positional, they know that these departments are told the things to do and not to do.
Yes.
So they are told to never restrain a citizen or hold your weight on them for a prolonged period of time, even when you are trying to subdue them. See, these are the things that the departments teach their officers in training. And when they train it, they sign that paperwork saying that they've been trained and they're expected to go and follow the training. So when you handle the citizen, that they don't pass away. You're here to protect them. And that's why they give you these training rules and these training ways for you to administer to us and preserve our lives. But what happens always, it always get administered and it takes our lives. So that means they're going beyond what the training, the scientific proof of how long a body can take that until the airways are constricted so much to where life is lost, and they letting you know how long it takes. So when you stay on that longer, you're either purposefully disregarding it with the intent to take life, or you're carelessly disregarding it, and it leads to life being taken. That's voluntary and involuntary either way you look. Why is that not what is charged immediate to the officer upon arrest? They take the person who owns the car to jail when they find drugs in it because you're in possession of it, you're in control of the vehicle. But why they don't take the arresting officer immediately when they find something like this out? Now, what has happened to that officer in our little brother in Maryland's case? Does anyone know that?
Yeah, well, what happened is there is some good that came out of this. I thought I had the amount that he won, but I know it was a lot. It was a lot of money.
It was $5 million.
$5 million they won. But what happened in the event of this? There were some policy changes, guys. Remember how I said that for us to make sure this doesn't happen again, we gotta go the course. We gotta see it all the way through, because in this case, these are the policies that got changed. They had to get some de-escalation training. These officers, they had to. They were explicit bans on the use of prone restraint once a suspect is handcuffed. So they did some bans on some of those restraints that they were using. And then last, the training is organizing medical emergencies. They had to get some training in recognizing medical emergencies. So when what happened out there in Monroeville, Yakanan, they had to see that there was something going on. But see, they couldn't see it because they were saying that he was faking. Now, maybe the faking came, we got to explain why we didn't do anything. That's a possibility. But let's just say they did know. What were they supposed to do before they put him in that car? What do you think they were supposed to do?
Well, they should have called emergency services. An ambulance should have been called to the scene immediately. Not only should have ambulance been called, but they should have started CPR if he was struggling breathing at that time. You do not watch a human being. You're supposed to be trained in how to do CPR. You don't have to wait for the ambulance to get there. If the heart is in distress, they should have AEDs available in their cars as well to be able to shock the individuals back. But we saw no medical attention given at all whatsoever. And we see this a lot. This is not the first time that we see a Black individual in distress totally limp, and they just sit back and watch. And sometimes they're doing this with the handcuffs on, so they know exactly what they're doing. And this has to be outside of police departmental policy. And the family may even need to call the FBI in to investigate as well. I don't know if it's the Alabama Bureau of Investigations or who's supposed to oversee this, but these officers should be investigated. And so their family should be in contact with whoever is overseeing this also, to be able to follow what's going on in the investigation, being able to be transparent with following the investigation.
Yeah, well, I think that the family is relying on the attorneys to communicate with SBI, but I do believe as well that the mayor of Monroeville, Alabama, I think that the mayor should, and I said this, and I'll say it again. I think that the mayor should call the DOJ, let him come down to Monroeville, because you got citizens that are upset. You got people that are calling Congress. You got people that are calling elected officials. They're just reaching out to whomever they can to get somebody to listen. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's responding. We're just talking. So I think that the mayor should contact DOJ, get an independent internal investigation at the Monroeville Police Department, just to make sure that there's not some kind of systemic issues going on, and there's no violation of their constitutional rights. Make sure that you don't have racist cops, is what I'm trying to say. Okay.
And see, I'm sorry.
No, go
That
ahead.
would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. That's morally a beautiful thing. That's what we elect our officials for. That's what we're told to vote and get them in the office. The sad reality is some of these people, these politicians that are supposed to do what you just said and stand up, they are not going to do it because it's either the people or the police. Who do you want on your side? Do you want
There you
the
go.
protection or the people? And a lot of them, they side with the protection because they don't want to go against the police. They don't want to become an enemy of the police. They don't want to be known as the mayor that's going to get his own police officers locked up. Because, oh, no, nobody's going to want to become a police officer. And a lot of them, they won't hold them accountable like they're supposed to, even with the public outcrying. Why? Because the complexion for the protection isn't there in these situations with us. So you can do anything to us, and you don't really have to worry about losing your spot, because the rest of the other citizens, the police side, are going to keep you in there. You see what I'm saying? So it becomes that person, that individual. What are they rooted in? Are they rooted in universal justice for everybody, stand up and even against their own police department? Or are they rooted in the political system, the political system of doing whatever for votes and reacting for votes? And sadly, when those people respond that way as the political powers, they side with the police against the people, the authority against the people. They won't go against them because then they get a bad light put on them by
There
these
it
police
is.
departments. They'll start
Yes.
talking about the mayor and getting people. It becomes a whole political game. So some
It's
of them
all
won't do that.
politics.
I'm not
Yes.
looking to him to do that. I mean, it's morally, and it would be a beautiful world, and he would do it if it was someone else. You see what I'm saying? Even though it's popular
He comes
to
from that.
stand up.
He was a police officer, and for like 40 years, he's been in that industry. Now, what he did do is, and I want to go back to Ms. Bernice's comment here. She asked the question, why they put the officers back to work? They're back at work. They were on paid leave. Now they're back at work.
They follow procedures.
Yeah.
And they can't get fired. They have unions, and the union representative tells them, okay, this officer followed what y'all told them to do to the technical T, so they have to still get the promised hours that you give them in the promised position. This contract, it's a job. The beginning, the middle, of the end of the day, it's money. And so by the money lines, the city or the state that is employing that officer is liable if they take away that officer's money. So that's where it comes down to, again, policies and procedures that those officers can say, we did what we were supposed to. And if they're technically right, yeah, they're back out on the beat. They don't give a damn about the public's outcry. No, this is police. This is protection. And we're going to ride with police and protection, law and order over the citizens, even though
That's
it's
right.
supposed to be the opposite way around. We see what we getting, like Brother Yakanan say. We don't need to think it. We seeing it.
So Yakanan, let me ask you a question. If the police chief and the mayor, because obviously the police chief answers to the mayor, if the mayor really wanted to make the citizens happy, if he really wanted to say, look, I just want this to calm down. I just, whatever it is that you guys need. Because let me tell you what the mayor did do. The mayor had a city council meeting, and the protest organizer was there, and the response from the mayor was, well, listen, I've investigated cases for 40 years, and I've had stuff worse than this. In other words, downplaying what happened to T. And then he explains that he sent the officers back because they don't have enough police officers in the city to keep people safe. So that's why he got to send them back to work. What do you think about that?
Well, the mayor at this point, this is the first Black mayor that has been elected to Monroeville, and I'm sure he did not think that this was going to drop on his doorstep. He wants to avoid a lawsuit, and so there's not going to be an admittance to any wrongdoing at all whatsoever. Taking these officers off work, the mayor would have to, admit to there was some wrongdoing about some type of policy. So there's no admittance of anything right now, not even the rendering of aid, not even sympathy going out, to the family, and the police the mayor having some type of heart to be able to understand what this family is going through behind something that was totally, totally, totally unavoidable. This mayor is not willing to commit political suicide by going against the police department and people that support him right now. This situation, it's gonna bring out who the mayor is and actually who they dealing with in that town. And it's gonna show what he's actually truly made of and whose side he's on. Is he on the side of the community and the people? Does he stand with the people? Does he represent the people? Or does the mayor represent the other side of politics and his own aspirations? Because we all know how the system works. If this mayor is willing to sweep this up under the rug, this is going to excel and promote his career. If he doesn't handle the situation correctly, this could be the end of him. So all eyes are on the mayor, and the mayor right now just wishes he was an ostrich, that he can stick his head in the sand and just hope for this all to go away. And if the pressure is not put on, that's exactly what will happen. All this will just go away. There'll be nothing to see here, and we'll just wait until the next case move on. It's kind of like Trump with the Epstein files. Instead of sitting up talking about these Epstein files, let's go start a war somewhere, and people will quit talking about the Epstein files. So the mayor's just hoping for another incident to happen up that'll take people's attention away from this situation, and the citizens of that community have to make sure they stay on it. Now, there are many pitfalls that this system has learned to do. When you begin to organize in the community, what the powers that be, their first line of defense is someone to come in and lead the protests. And so a lot of the time it's going to be a pastor. We call them the peacekeepers or the gatekeepers of the Bootleg Nation. They come in first and try to make sure they quiet the people down. If the people have certain actions planned, this person is put in place to make sure they're driven in a more peaceful manner or a more indirect manner from the mayor. So him and the mayor may be going out having dinner, and the sheriff alone, the main person that's supposed to be leading this or call themselves leading this, have put themselves out front just to do damage control to make sure this goes in the opposite direction. So this is something the community has to be very careful of, because this is a tactic that we see, and this is the first line of defense.
Wow.
40 years on the thin blue line. I'm going to take the side of the Terminator. And when I say that, y'all know who the Terminator is, the former mayor of California, Schwarzenegger. And what Schwarzenegger did to our dear brother, Stanley Tookie Williams. He said, well, I could pardon you. I could say that all this great stuff that you did, you're no longer a threat. I could show you some mercy, but you're a gang member for so long, and I just don't believe it's totally out of you. You won't denounce it, so but I'm just not going to show any mercy. Well, I feel that same way with this mayor. If he was on the thin blue line, he was a part of them. He ain't gonna never denounce it. He's still a part of that gang. He gonna support that gang. So I ain't got no mercy or any feeling that he is going to do what's right, and he's showing you he ain't. He ain't. He's not gonna do what's right for the citizens. He gonna do what's right for his people. His loyalty is to that, and that was the reason Schwarzenegger wouldn't let our dear brother, get his sentence commuted, because he said he never denounced it. Why do you got to denounce it when y'all won't denounce it? You was on the line 40 years. Are you gonna denounce them when you see them doing something bad now? No. They gonna stick with it like the fraternal order it is, even if it's at the people's pain. They do not care because it's political for them. And he riding with them for so long. I'm never gonna see this man going against them. He gonna smooth talk his way into saying, "Oh, okay," unless we had solid evidence, unless we are able to produce solid evidence that cannot be refuted, it cannot be questioned, and that would come in the proper form of the court system or the visual where we can see you. What I mean by stay in this line of sight, my brothers and sisters, don't run. Somebody need to see what's going on so we could prove what went on. That was another thing the Panthers did. We would get out in the streets. They would get out, the original, they would get out in the streets, and they would be the eyes out there saying, we're going to watch everything y'all doing. They were following them around. Y'all remember the stories? These are stories, if y'all don't know about them, these is what this community organization did when the threat from the police came to them. They had to form groups to watch the police, follow the police, and they would do it. Follow them. Why? Because they know that they were going to do something when nobody could see. And whenever somebody could see them, that's what made those officers stand down. No, the Panthers didn't get out and shoot them down. They didn't use their weapons. They carried it, but they didn't use them. The thing that scared those officers into complying, into submitting to the will of the people, was that they were being watched. They were seeing it. There's a power in that, my brothers and sisters. But if you run away, if you get into a position where it's questionable, nobody around, you leave it to just their body cam, it's not gonna show you. The lion and the hunter, they're two different stories. There's two different stories of the lion and the hunter. Yeah. Which story are you? You're the lion, I promise you. Yeah. Do not leave yourself to be the version of the hunter. We have to start teaching that. That will be the only thing we can get out of this sad situation of them not following. We're going to talk about it, and they're going to give us the legal jargon, and they're going to go through all of that stuff. But at the end, the middle, in the beginning of the day, our brother is gone. How can we make sense of this? I mean, that's what we're here for, not to just talk about it, but to give to the people a solution. Yes. That's who y'all have. We're giving you a solution for those that are hearing. You can give this message out. This ain't hate. This is not hate for our law enforcement. We've never hated law enforcement. We like law enforcement, but we like law enforcement that treat us right. We want a referee in the game that's refereeing the game right, not the referee that's doing it rigged. Don't y'all hate when you find out that the game was rigged? You done bet your last dollars on something with the greatest hope that you had a chance, and then you find out later on it was rigged. You never had a chance. You'll get mad. So that's what we want with law enforcement, because we need law enforcement in our life, but we need proper law enforcement. And the proper law enforcement should be the preservation of life for the citizens. If you do that, then you're being what we need in life, because everybody needs somebody to protect their grandma when they over running at their job in the middle of the night, and hey, grandma, she in her house with her cats. You don't want these little people, be able to go in there and take whatever they want from them. You would hope that the people that you pay in taxes are protecting that area where your grandmother or your family members are, and they're keeping it free from those that would try to hurt them. You want that. But you don't want the officer to be the one calling in like, yeah, he gone to work. Yeah, come get her. What?
Yeah.
That's a
So
setup. We don't want that.
Right. Yakinan, I want to wrap it up because we're almost out of here. I want to, because we have people from Monroeville that's watching, and we need a game plan here. Now, I know that we do have a protest organizer in Monroeville, Pastor Joshua Buford, who he's had, I think, like 3 protests, but there's not a good showing really coming out. What would you say to the people that are watching this to encourage them to get more involved and show up at these protests?
Well, you have to understand the ills that our people go through and our financial distress and the fear that we have. There's a economic gap in this country for a reason. So we won't be able to show up at court. We won't be able to show up at protests for good causes and so on and so forth. There is fear of us, being fired from our jobs if we're out there on the front line. So there has to be sacrifice. You have to have made up your mind as a citizen that enough is enough, and everybody reaches that point at a point in time in their life, and some people never reach that point. This family, they have come to the point to where they can't turn a blind eye to it. So now the family has to make a sacrifice. Is the entire community willing to stand up, or are we just gonna turn our eyes to this like 12 years on a slave when somebody's being hung by a rope? As long as it's not happening to you, you are not really truly concerned. There's a problem with your own humanity. You have to go home and look at yourself tonight, and you have to ask yourself, is this cause enough for me to stand up? And I can guarantee 100% that it is. If it's not going to be today, then when is it going to be? You've already seen all of these instances happening over and over again. My day came where I had to stand up on my feet. I try to do my best to inspire others, to instill a spirit in them that this is what we have to do as a people. You can't sit back and watch justice be delayed and swept up under the rug, and people not even care. You have to have a heart for your people, because if we don't have a heart for ourselves when they see these things happen, then how can we expect for people that hate us to want to do anything about it? They have to see that you are standing up. It was only because the people stood up when Freddie Gray happened in New York. We all knew that it was wrong. And then our people got out there when the people got arrested, when the police officers got arrested and started dancing in the middle of the street, playing songs and music. That is not the proper way to celebrate an arrest, because it's not over with until the trial happens. Our people have to understand the psychology that has been placed upon us. Black police officers, when they were first able to join the force, were not able to carry guns. They were not allowed to arrest white people. It was not until we became fully entrusted with this ideology they have placed upon us to domesticate us. And then they take these same black police officers and they put these officers in black neighborhoods. To this very day in my life, I have never seen white people on side of the road being arrested, their car being searched, so on and so forth. So this mayor, they are on the other side. You have to be entrusted, with the care of this system. You cannot go in and say you're going to fight the system. If you go in and say you're going to fight the system, one or two things is going to happen. Either that system is going to change you, or you might die trying to change that system. And you have to be willing to make a sacrifice in your life. These are our children. These are our grandchildren. These are generations and generations. How many generations did we lose that day? And wisdom teaches us that strength comes in numbers. And we have to ask our people to stand up for what is right, because it is the right thing to do. Something terrible happened in this situation, and all we are asking for is transparency. Let us see the body cam footage. Let us actually see this young brother's life. Did these people even care? Did they follow proper protocol to try to get him some help? Did they perform an emergency aid on him immediately when they knew he was in distress? I can answer that question right now and tell you, hell no, they did not. But this mayor is sitting back not even being sympathetic at all about what he's seen on that video. You
That's
cannot
right.
put somebody limp into a car like that and don't think they need medical aid. Call the ambulance and deal with it from that point. Don't spew hatred out in front of the cameras. But when you do spew hatred out in front of the cameras, as they did, then you will be held accountable for it, because that is the age we are in. If you keep quiet and it's not on camera, you have a chance to get away with it. But if it's on camera, you have a problem, and that's why we have those body cams on from progression in our living, dealing with the police officers in this day. And so we just hope that this community is inspired. And even myself, I need to be in a situation to where I'm financially free, where we can get on the ground with the citizens of Monroeville. And we don't have to be strained to just one area, but we can begin to get on the ground where these people are, because they need our help and our support. So I implore the citizens of Monroeville, keep at it, get out there. It is worth the cause. And the family needs your help at this moment, and they're only going to be able to get the answers that they need by your support of the community coming out.
Yeah, there has to be an outcry, guys, because that story that we started the show off with in 2015, they started out good. They did. They started out with an outcry. They were showing up. They were posting and doing protests, and they were angry because this man was killed by the police, and the body cam didn't work and all this kind of stuff. But guess what happened? When they finally said, we didn't see anything, sorry, there's no criminal, there was no criminal conduct here, case over, died. Nobody did anything. It's an active case. Nothing happened. Do we want that to happen with T, that we get tired and we eventually just say whatever? Because I want to give two different scenarios, and then we're calling it good night. First scenario, SBI brings back the investigation. Police are cleared. We didn't see anything happen on the video that would indicate that they caused the death of T. Tunstall. He had drugs in his system, and that's it, case closed. What do people do at that point if that's the case? We're going to do both ways. What do we do then?
If that is the case, to where they say they don't see anything at all, we have to see that with our own eyes. We hear what they say. We don't trust the police. We don't trust their words. They've lied on many of different occasions. We have to see the video. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it at all whatsoever. There have been things put in place. The media can get hold to this video. We can FOI request. They're going to say at some point in time it's under investigation, but at some point in time the investigation is going to be over with. After that investigation is over with, this is public record at that point in time. So we will do our due diligence, and we will follow as the story goes on, and we will stick to the protocol that we have to stick to in order to get these videos in our hand. But it is guaranteed that we will see these videos, whether doctored or not.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this. Oh,
Go ahead.
no, I will just say this. In the spirit of my son, Justice for King Blake, y'all can look up his story. My son was murdered on November 5th, 2017. And the crazy thing is that we've known from the first day who were all involved. And it would really just astonish you. It would amaze you to find out that 10 years later, there's still been no accountability held by the proper people that could hold accountability. And that's the judges, the DA, the people that hold people accountable for taking our lives, taking our loved ones' lives. They're the people that at the beginning, middle, and the end of the day that are really doing us bad, because it is 10 years later. The man who killed my baby turned himself in, admitted it, the evidence there to show that the whole grand jury found the evidence to be substantial enough to charge this man with a crime. But then the judge and the DA, along with the defense attorney, got together and put their powers to it and completely dismissed the case. Let the man out on bond that you didn't even have to pay a dime over. It astonished people in my city. And I've been on the news 12 times talking about it. I've been to my city hall talking to all the politicians, the political figures that we put into office 27 different times about my son. All of this to be ignored by the world. I'm going to tell you what you can't do is ignore each other. I took my son's casket and put my baby in his casket. I carried it in my vehicle, something I've never heard a parent have to do because of the craziness of people not being there for each other. We're supposed to be there for each other. And so this is what I tell the people of Monroeville. Don't allow this situation to just be what my sister said for a few seconds. And then when they say nothing happened, what do y'all get from it? Scream his name, a balloon release? No. We got to be like Toby say, more than just a hashtag or a t-shirt, face on a t-shirt. I hope you make it home like he said in his rap. I hope our babies make it home. So we have to go after those in our city that really hold the power. This officer holding them accountable. Yeah, we can lose one, but you still got a lot of them out there. You still got a lot of our babies out here, ourselves out here that are in situations where we're going to come in encounters with them, and it could end possibly like that. How do we really hold them accountable? You have to go after the DAs and the judges, because those are offices that are held by the people's power. They are judges that are not appointed, they are voted in. So if you want to make sure people are held accountable for doing things against y'all have to start getting educated about who are your DAs. That's who you need to push your campaign to. You need to let them know they need to do what they're supposed to do. Hold these people to the letter of the law accountable, regardless if they're an officer. They're really supposed to be held more because they're an officer. But just to be held to the proper amount of law they're supposed to be to give you justice, y'all have to get these judges in your cities, in your minds, and that needs to be where you put your power to. And the way you do it, like Yakanan said, you come together, you reach to the youth. It's going to be a funeral for this young man, and there's going to be a lot of young people there. Those are the times when we as a people have converged. But what do we do after that? We leave it and we get nothing because we don't come back together. Make this be the change. Let's make this be really viral and start talking to the youth, reaching to them with love and compassion. Celebrate them. Their lives are difficult. Celebrate each other when we go out together, when we come together and we eat together. Don't charge each other. Bring the food together. Feed each other physical food. Feed each other laughter. You know how we do it. We're a festive people, but we need to really celebrate this moment, and that will bring us a common unity. We will come together, and so we won't just be thrown off after this and not come around each other. We'll uplift all our other brothers and sisters. We'll teach them survival tactics, just like the old folks used to tell us. They used to talk to the kids before they leave out the house and tell them, don't go through this way, don't do this. When you talk to these people, act this way, because they knew this is a war. This is your life. This is not a viral moment in history for social media to be manipulated and use you as the face. This is your real lives. We have to tell each other that. That needs to be the teaching, not just what Jesus and all of them did, but in the church house where you got the attention of the people, move their spirits by telling them to be there for each other in the apartments, in the streets, in the neighborhoods. Truly come out, love one another, know each other, care about one another. Then y'all will march together down to them DAs and them judges, the people that really hold the power. Then them officers, they're going to think twice about how they handle you when they know that they can be held accountable. You didn't stop doing what you were doing bad until you finally got a butt whooping. I don't care what it was and who you were, until you finally got a butt whooping that made you stop, until you finally lost your check, till you finally lost some consequences given. And as an adult, as people with power, they need real consequences because they hold real power. They hold authority, and not just authority over their lives, but your lives, our lives. So that's a double responsibility that they need to be held to. And we need to bring that into this life. When we do that, then we'll have truly done something for our people, our future generations, not just get a moment in history where we tell we're angry and it gets nothing from it. And we go to church and we're separated, and we in the community we don't love each other and all that. These people seeing that. But I don't care what they seeing. I'm not doing it for their looks, for them to say, oh, they together, they good people. Not, we don't do that for that. We do that for each other's love and each other's adoration, to truly do something like we had, like we heard our ancestors had back in the day, those great black towns, those great black communities. And
Yeah.
that's what we need to get from that. Monroeville, I love y'all. I love his family. I thank y'all for hearing us. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you, Brother Yakanan, for what you do. Continue to do it, my brother. You know where I'm at if you ever need me. And my sister Ella, you are a revolutionary. You are a soul sister. When you're out here on the front lines, that is exceptional. It's people that are out on the front lines giving the information to the masses. That's what you're doing. And so, power to you, my sister. Power to the people.
I really wish that you guys would go to Monroeville one day. I wish that you could meet the family. I wish that we could. I mean, I know because you're in Texas, right, Yakana?
Yeah, we're in Houston.
You're both of y'all are in Houston. Okay.
Mhm.
So, I mean, who knows? Maybe we can do something together one day. I just wanted the best outcome. And I know that you talked to me earlier about what it is that you guys do. I want you to share that with people because we have more people watching now than we did at the beginning. What it is that the People's New Black Panther Party, and how you can help citizens in the community. I want you to tell them a little bit about that before we go.
I mean, we help with all kind of problems in the community, whether it be domestic problems. You have these young men down that are killing these sisters in front of children, so on and so forth. People may not want to call the police. We will assist in that situation to help you however best we can, to give you the best advice or to do whatever needs to happen to keep you safe. We help with missing people in the community. We help with murder victims in the community. A lot of times the police are not going to put forth 100% of their efforts because of the color of our skin, and that's where we come in as a community to help you out. There may be someone who's been raped that that the police won't make a move. We apply the proper pressure in places to get whatever the family is asking us to do. Whenever the family is in situations like this where their family members have been murdered, by police or someone else, they don't know what to do. They're in the middle of just grieving. They've never been through anything like this before. So we have experience with these situations where we come in and we assist the family. We make proper phone calls. We assist them with lawyers, whatever they may need. If you have somebody that is incarcerated, wrongfully incarcerated, we assist with getting those people out after a proper investigation. If you need assistance with lawyers, advice on what to do, land disputes. We've had sheriffs try to take land away from our people, millions of dollars worth of land. They've given us a call. We were able to put them in the right situation with a lawyer who could handle it legally and end up winning these cases. So there's just a number of different things that we do to the community, and they can always reach out. If anybody is asking you for any money, this person is probably a fraud and riding off the Panther's good name, but is absolutely free to the community, our services. We are community servants, and we are here for the people, by the people, and we also politically educate our people. We financially educate our people as well. We're starting a real serious financial literacy program coming up so we can get our people off the plantation, because that is the main thing that we are going through right now. We've been put at the bottom of the totem pole, and we're still getting up having to work hard every day, and we haven't been taught proper investments into America. America does not like us, and so we're asking for reparations. And I can tell you right now, we're not going to receive reparations from people that hate us. We don't even receive CPR from people that hate us. So why would they turn around and give us money? So, this is what we do. Our main thing that we need to be doing is politically educating our people, because we are in political ignorance right now. We get up and we go vote with the Democrats and we go vote with the Republicans, and neither of these parties have our best interests at heart. We need our own political organization, which we have our own political organization, and that's what we are. We need to turn that political organization into a political power where we can block our votes and we can educate people from our community that think the way we think and have our best interests at heart. And then we begin to place these people in office to continue on our legacy of progression. There shouldn't be certain things that go on in the judicial system, like the disparity between crack cocaine and cocaine. Because crack cocaine was so prevalent in the Black community, you were given 100 times, worse the sentence versus if you had the same amount of cocaine, even though you need the cocaine to make the crack. That is because of our political ignorance. And either we are getting up voting or not voting the right people into the right places. And Malcolm X said it best, it was either the ballot or the bullet, and it's going to be the ballot and the bullet. If you sacrificing your life and you're doing everything right, there is a pushback from this system, but we have to continue to fight and overcome. People before us have done a great job at giving us this opportunity to stand here today, and that's exactly what it is. It is an opportunity to make a change. When Martin Luther King died and they captured him and that we shall overcome and let's be peaceful and this and that and so on and so forth, that was just a snippet of what they captured Martin Luther King in, because he had began to be more progressive and asked, where's our check? We want this. We want more, so on and so forth. And so when Martin Luther King was given that stage to talk about civil rights and he went beyond what he was supposed to talk about, your word is your bond and your bond is your life. And he was murdered. Just like any of us, he will be given that. There were rappers who turned conscious who were murdered. Pimp C comes to mind here in Houston, Texas. And so this is what our organization is about. Is it about love for the people? It is about community. It's about unity. And we are here to elevate our people and be of assistance in any way. And if it's something that we have never dealt with, if we can assist, we are willing to learn and educate ourselves in whatever way we need to educate ourselves in order to be a help to our community.
Wow, this Good Politics says, let's build coalition, bro. Yakana. Community Movement Builders is starting a chapter in Houston. Nice. So I mean, these folks are in Alabama, Yakanan, and I am bringing you here so that you can speak to the people that I love, people from Monroeville, Alabama, with this situation. And I really want to talk more with you to find out how you can assist, because I know what you offer is for anybody. It doesn't matter where they live, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how can people get in touch with you if they really have a question for you and would like to get some assistance and they're not in Houston? How do they reach you?
They can call me directly at 832-294-8922. They can go to our Facebook page, the People's New Black Panther Party. There may be a chapter near you, or they can go to our national page. They can also email us at peoplesnbpp@gmail.com. The email will come directly to me. I'll respond to it. If it's about membership, if we want to build a chapter down there in Monroeville, I see that the politics are very needed down in that area. And so we would love to work with anybody in the community to get them to understand what's going on. And the main thing that we see for our people is us being able to get free off of that plantation so we can get out there and we can join the fight and do whatever needs to be done in every community across the United States of America.
So before we get out of here, guys, I want to show you that in the comments, I put the story about Anton here. So I want you guys in your own time, go here and click on this, and it'll give you a little bit more insight into what happened with Anton Black. That's one of them. Then we didn't get a chance to talk about him, but this young man, Elijah McClain, was a young man who was he was just going to the convenience store, coming from the convenience store, and the police officers approached him. And now this young man is dead, and it's because he told him, I'm an introvert. He was different. He said, I'm just different. And he's dead. And I want you guys to read about his story. 23 years old, killed by police. So this story continues, guys, and it's because, but a lot of people, let me tell you, a lot of these stories I brought to you, these people fought back and they won their cases, but they had some very important information to work with, because when you're trying to take on something like this, especially that qualified immunity, for you to break that police immunity, you got to have some solid proof, right, Yakanan? You got to have some solid proof. You got to be able to prove that what these officers did was excessive, and it was not called for. And in this case, they were running after this man and treated him like he was nothing. And they choked him and did whatever they had to do until it made him brain dead. Useless, senseless stuff. But it's out there and it's happening. And that's why I want to keep bringing stories and education to my viewers so that you can make decisions based off knowledge now. Now, when you go to vote in 2 weeks, now you're going to vote this. You're going to think about who has made a difference for us in this city when it comes to this. Has the sheriff done that? What has he done to help in this situation with T. Tunstall? What has he done? And stop taking it that he says there's nothing he can do. I don't buy that. Don't buy that. There is stuff that he can do. So I know he's one of the ones that's running, And if you really want, I think this is the message. I want to give a message to the mayor before we get out of here. Because, I think it's very important that we tell people what we want. We don't just talk about it. We have to end this show by speaking to the people in Monroeville. If you're watching this show, and I'm sure somebody's going to tell you about it, we need to make sure you hear it from the horse, right? So what we need from you, Mayor, we saw what you said in the Monroe Journal. We saw that you just feel like T's investigation is not that important. You've seen worse. You say, I don't know what's worse than somebody dying, but you said that. That came out of your mouth. The public needs an apology. I think that's reasonable for you, someone who was elected by these same people. And then you put these people back to work. City council, you guys can come against that. You can actually say something. You can actually request in your meetings that you want mandated body cams, that you want to talk about, well, look, I don't think we should pay him. The investigation is still going. You can ask to see the policies from the police. You don't just have to sit there and do whatever the mayor tells you to do. That's why you're there. You represent these communities, okay? He's supposed to represent them too, but somebody has to check him, all right? That's why city council is there. You guys are there to make sure that you're keeping in line with what these people, because you're only in that seat because they voted you in it, okay? So if you're in that seat, you need to find out what your community needs, because I'm going to make sure that if you don't do that, I'm going to make sure that the community knows now what their next move needs to be, because we can't just let this happen. We can't just wish this away. We can't just pray this away, okay? Because I believe that God is in it. I think God is in this. I think God is in the protest. I think God is in the details. But if the time is over for us just sitting back and just letting things happen, no, it's time for us to move forward. So we don't want to have to go the next step. We want to be able to work together as a community, okay? We want to work together so that we can get some results. I know the investigation is still going, but the people are not happy. They want an apology from you, Mayor, that was insensitive and rude, that you would say that to this grieving mother's family, and they were in the room. And then for the wife allegedly to say, oh, he didn't mean it like that. I think that we're bigger than that. I think that with the experience that you have and the name that you have and being the first Black mayor from Monroeville, we expect more. Mandy, you need to, and as well, Mayor, you can also call for an investigation. What's wrong? If you really back the police and you're telling the citizens of Monroeville that what they saw, nothing to see, that's how we do things. If you really think that's good, then prove it. You know how you can prove it? Do an investigation. Let's let DOJ tell us that, no, guys, this is actually proper protocol. Or better yet, let's let APOSTC tell us. Those are the people that have set the guidelines for how officers are to act. So let's ask them, is this proper protocol to drag this man, not get him immediate help, and then he die? There are a lot of questions, but Mayor, we're calling on you and everybody that's watching this video. I am talking to you as well. If you represent and you're elected in Monroeville, Alabama, then we're calling on you to do something to help this family. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Is that fair, Yakanan? Did we cover everything?
That's
I wasn't
100%.
rude, was I? Was
That's
I rude?
100% fair. That's the right thing to do.
That's it. And that's not trying to be rude. We're not trying to call anybody out. But if that's what you want to call it, then I guess we are. But we need to call somebody out. We need to let people know what we want. We can go protest, and I'm for it. If I were at home, I'd be there as well protesting. But they need to know what we want. We're not just mad. We're not going to just sit up there with a sign. We want something. And for those of you that want the election, that you want those votes, you need to give us something too. And I'm talking specifically to the ones who are up for election. If that's you, then yes, I'm talking to you. Make sure that you are doing what you promised to do for the citizens of Monroeville. And that's it. Now, I want to share this with you guys before we go. Remember, tonight's broadcast was dedicated to these beautiful little beings right here, Justice and Cameron. These are T's babies. And I just want you guys that when you decide whether or not to go out and protest, I want you to think about them. Think about what we're setting and leaving them to have to deal with because we didn't do it. All right. I want you to remember that Monroeville is not just about To Kill a Mockingbird. Monroeville is a city that's also known for a man that was put on death row and he was about to die. Had 60 Minutes not intervened and Byron Stevenson hadn't intervened, he would have. So it's important for us to be the person that stands in the gap for these babies right here. This show is dedicated to Justin and Cameron. I know I've probably never met these babies, but I love you. I have to do my part. And this is what I can do here on the Ella Johnson Show. So I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I pray that you all will share this broadcast. If you are happy about what we talked about tonight, share the broadcast. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Texas T. Thank you, Yakanan, for being here. It's always a pleasure. Let's not be strangers. Let's do it again. And then I want to talk to you guys a little bit later on, maybe not tonight, obviously, but later on about what we can do extra for Monroeville as this case progresses. Because once that investigation comes back, then we may have to make a different kind of move, right? All right, guys.
Exactly.
Love y'all.
One love, Monroeville.
What you say, Texas T?
I was saying one love, Monroeville. We love you. We with y'all.
Right. Sounds good. We'll see you guys. Have a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.